Force yourself to evolve. Change your actions until discipline ceases to be an effort and becomes who you are. Between what you desire and what you actually do lies a gap called laziness. But I'm not just talking about staying on the couch or procrastinating tasks. I mean a mental state, one where you know exactly what you should do, yet remain trapped in excuses, distractions, and unfulfilled promises. The truth is, discipline doesn't arise from miracles. It's born from repetition, discomfort, and the decision to leave your comfort zone and enter the zone of growth. You already have that power, the ability to act with awareness instead of impulse. And here is where everything changes. When you stop waiting for motivation and start creating movement, when you take the first step, no matter how small, laziness doesn't vanish over time. It dissolves through action, through daily effort, through consistency. This video is about that, about pushing yourself to grow, even if your mind resists, even if your body craves rest, even when fear tries to stop you. Write now in the comments, "Today I choose discipline. I am Stoic." It may seem small, but it's your first victory. A victory over yourself, because the world only respects those who learn to master themselves. Before we begin, I only ask two things. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's go together into the first lesson. Principle 1. Operate at high performance. High performance means doing everything within your capacity to reach a high level in what you truly want to achieve. It's about operating at a healthy limit of your abilities, with direction, with purpose. Imagine a powerful engine running with the parking brake still engaged. It roars, it burns fuel, but it doesn't move forward. That's exactly what happens when you have talent and goals, but allow your energy to leak into distractions, worries, and doubts. It's not a lack of capability, it's power without direction. Abraham Maslow captured this perfectly. What a man can be, he must be. When you don't strive to give your best, a void opens, one that rest cannot heal, because it's not fatigue from action, it's exhaustion from omission. The Stoics called this living in alignment with your ideal self, not through dramatic leaps, but through consistent, deliberate steps. High performance isn't fleeting intensity, it's sustained focus on what truly matters. So how can you practice this in real life? Apply the 2-to-10-2 protocol, inspired by the 2-minute rule and designed to break inertia. First, 2 minutes. Start with just 2 minutes. If you need to study, open your book and read 2 pages. If you need to train, stand up and move for 2 minutes. If you want to lead better, spend 2 minutes thinking of one concrete action for your team. Next, 10 minutes. Dedicate 10 full minutes of focused, undistracted work toward the same goal. Final 2 minutes. Spend 2 minutes reflecting. Record what you did and define the next step. This short cycle reduces friction, creates momentum, and keeps you on track. You can stop after the first 2 minutes, but more often than not, you'll continue. Why? Because the brain doesn't generate action from motivation. It generates motivation from action. And every time you complete a small act of discipline, it doesn't just change the habit. It transforms your presence in the world. You begin to exist with more strength, more clarity, more truth. It's not intensity that transforms you, it's continuity. And in that moment, your potential stops being a distant idea and starts becoming reality. High performance is when your soul and your actions move in the same direction. It's not about running faster than others, it's about running in the right direction. It's about doing what matters every day, until it becomes part of who you are. You don't need to change the world today. You only need to move toward your best version. To seal this commitment, turn intention into action. Write in the comments, "Today, my high performance begins." Then execute your first 2-10-2 cycle. This is the beginning. Simple, direct, powerful. Not a promise, but a new routine of greatness. Principle 2. Break your stability. All growth begins with imbalance. Think of a seed. Before it sprouts, it must crack open. From the outside, it looks like destruction, but from within, it's transformation. The shell breaks so space can form. What was trapped finds a new path. In the same way, you only become stable when you allow yourself to be shaken. Most people confuse stability with safety, but too much stability turns into stagnation. Like stagnant water, calm on the surface but rotting beneath. You want to evolve, but you keep trying to maintain everything as it is, the same routine, the same habits, the same thoughts. But nothing new emerges from what never changes. Want a simple example? You won't gain physical strength without exhausting your muscles. You won't develop courage without facing fear. You won't find clarity without walking through chaos. You won't become a true leader without enduring the discomfort of learning to manage people. No one becomes a great communicator without breaking the silence of shyness, stumbling, stuttering, facing judgment. Seneca wrote, "Difficulty shows what a man truly is." He didn't speak of suffering as punishment, but as an instrument, because every time life knocks you off balance, it reveals where you still need to grow. And this is where most people surrender. When the pain of change arrives, they retreat to familiar territory, even if it's small, even if it limits them. It's the same with lottery winners. Overnight, they receive enough money to transform their lives. New house, new lifestyle, new identity. But within months, they return to their old financial patterns. Why? Because the external change came too fast, but internally, nothing evolved. Wealth demands new habits, new decisions, new responsibilities. Without emotional preparation, the mind reverts to what feels safe, its previous equilibrium. It's like trying to contain an ocean in a glass. Without internal structure, the overflow destroys everything. Studies cited by Forbes and Time show that most lottery winners lose everything because they couldn't sustain the new emotional level. They return to the safe ground they know, the one their subconscious deems bearable. Sustaining change doesn't depend solely on willpower, but on how much your mind and heart can emotionally carry. That's why so many fall back, because the outer world changed faster than the inner one, and the psyche drags everything back. What we call stability can simply be complacency disguised as peace, a comfortable harbor that demands no effort, but also brings no growth. Avoiding discomfort is avoiding evolution. Everything you refuse to face returns later, disguised, demanding resolution. What doesn't challenge you weakens you. And that mechanism of escape, that emotional retreat, is a slow death for progress. If you truly want to improve, then break the artificial stability that keeps you stuck. Challenge yourself further. Train until your body is tired. Study until your mind protests. Speak, even when afraid. With every rupture, you rebuild a stronger version of yourself. The Stoic practice of this lesson is simple. Choose one small voluntary instability each day. Wake up earlier. Do what you've been avoiding. Say what needs to be said. Start what you've postponed for weeks. These small fractures build true resilience, the kind that doesn't rely on circumstances, but on inner strength. Stability is not the starting point. It's the result of someone who faced imbalance and remained standing. And every time you break comfort, something inside you reorganizes, firmer, clearer, more alive. So, hold on to this phrase as a personal pact. Today, I choose to leave my comfort zone, because it's only by acting, even with fear, that you expand your emotional capacity and prepare your mind to handle higher levels of life. Principle 3. Create an attractive vision of the future. When you feel trapped, it's rarely due to a lack of ability. It's usually a lack of direction. There's no energy in the present when there's no inspiring future to move toward. The human mind needs a vision, an image that pulls it forward, that justifies today's effort. Without that, even small challenges feel unbearable. Routine becomes a silent prison. Think of motivation as a rope stretched between today and tomorrow. When the future disappears from your mind, the rope snaps, and you fall into boredom, procrastination, and a fatigue that comes not from the body, but from meaninglessness. That's why so many start strong, only to quit halfway. They want to change their lives, but don't know exactly why. They say, "I want discipline, I want to be productive," but can't answer. For what? Without a clear destination, any effort feels too heavy. It's like climbing a mountain without knowing what's at the summit. At first, there's excitement, then discouragement sets in, because the body tires and the mind asks, why keep going? The same happens to someone who starts training without purpose, studying without a goal, or working without a greater vision than the monthly paycheck. Without a real why, discipline dies. Neuroscience confirms this. When an action is linked to a clear purpose, the brain releases dopamine, the motivation hormone. But when you act without meaning, your brain interprets effort as suffering, not progress. So the problem isn't lack of strength, it's lack of emotional direction. Nietzsche said, "Whoever has a why can endure any how," and that's the key. The difference between those who grow and those who stay still isn't speed, it's the clarity of their path. Having a vision of the future is like lighting a torch in the fog. The path doesn't change, but suddenly you can see where to step. Effort gains meaning. Movement gains soul. So program your future with tangible gestures. Take a sheet of paper and describe your ideal day 2 years from now. How do you wake up? Where do you work? Who are you becoming? Then, turn that vision into a practical plan. Choose a goal that challenges you, one that makes you proud to be moving. The size doesn't matter. What matters is having direction. Because the future isn't a place you arrive at, it's a place you build step by step. And every time you move toward a vision, weariness turns into energy, fear into clarity, and laziness into discipline. Remember, without vision, even noble effort gets lost. With vision, even obstacles become stepping stones. So write in the comments, "I choose to create my future," because when you know why, the how always appears. Principle 4. Eliminate the word sacrifice. Imagine an athlete training at 5 a.m. while the world sleeps. To an outsider, it looks like sacrifice. To him, it's direction. The problem is that many associate discipline with pain, as if improvement were a form of punishment. But effort isn't suffering. What separates effort from sacrifice is purpose. Sacrifice arises when you fight against something meaningless, a job that harms you, a routine that no longer reflects you, a goal that no longer belongs to you. Effort, on the other hand, is moving toward what you believe in, even when tired, even when afraid. Seneca said, "No one is unhappy because they do what they want. They are unhappy because they do what they don't want." And that's the difference. Effort has meaning. Sacrifice does not. A pianist practicing 8 hours a day isn't punishing himself. He's preparing. An entrepreneur losing sleep to build his own business isn't sacrificing. He's building freedom. These people aren't fleeing fatigue. They're choosing the kind of fatigue worth carrying. And that's a choice few dare to make, because it's easier to complain about effort than to accept the weight of conscious choice. But the truth is, all evolution requires energy. And you only become master of your life when you decide where that energy goes. You can waste it on complaints, or invest it in creation. Resist, or learn. Resent the effort, or use it as a tool. The difference between those who grow and those who stay still isn't talent, it's perception. Whoever calls everything sacrifice paralyzes himself. Whoever sees effort as investment moves, because once you understand why, the how stops feeling heavy. Discipline stops being punishment and becomes the natural consequence of someone who knows what they want. Eventually, consistency stops being painful and becomes identity. You don't do it because you have to. You do it because you are. And in that moment, effort stops hurting, because it aligns with who you really are. So before you label something a sacrifice, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to my purpose, or pull me away? If it brings you closer, it's growth. If it takes you away, it's imprisonment. The Stoics called this living in accordance with nature, acting according to reason, not the expectations of others. When purpose guides you, weight turns into strength. What hurts stops being sacrifice when it has meaning. The Stoic practice of this lesson is simple. Replace "I have to do this" with "I choose to do this." Choice shifts the weight. Awareness transforms your energy. Eliminating the word sacrifice isn't about denying effort. It's about freeing effort from suffering. Because true growth doesn't come from what you endure. It comes from what you decide to transform. Principle 5. Make your habits automatic. Think of someone trying to force a life change. They make promises, set big goals, start with intense effort, but within days they're exhausted, demotivated, and convinced they failed. The real issue? It's not a lack of willpower. It's relying on it every day, as if it were infinite. You don't build discipline with bursts of energy. You build it with systems that reduce the friction between what you should do and the moment you do it. Neuroscience explains this. Every time you repeat an action, your brain saves energy by forming a neural pathway. Over time, that path becomes a highway, and what once felt difficult becomes automatic. But the brain doesn't repeat what hurts. It repeats what rewards. Habits born from guilt die in burnout. But those born from pleasure, purpose, and coherence thrive effortlessly. 5 motivations can transform effort into lasting habit. 1. Pleasure. Link your habit to enjoyment. Listen to music while cleaning. Train in a place that inspires you. Write with a pen you love. Read with warm coffee in hand. Pleasure doesn't have to be the main reason, but it must be present. The brain seeks what feels good, so make doing the right thing feel good. 2. Identity. Don't act like someone trying to be disciplined. Act like someone who already is. Don't say, "I'm trying to eat healthy." Say, "I am someone who eats to nourish my body." The mind believes what you repeat, and your body follows what your mind believes. True transformation begins when repetition creates belonging, when the new behavior stops feeling foreign and starts feeling natural. 3. Purpose. When your actions have meaning, effort finds direction. You don't read just to finish a book. You read to become wiser. You don't train for a perfect body. You train for mental clarity, emotional resilience, and self-mastery. Purpose is the energy that connects habit to identity. When your why is strong, the how becomes light. 4. Progress. Celebrate small victories. The brain learns best when it senses advancement. Every day you keep your smallest commitment, you teach your mind to trust you. Don't wait for the final result to feel good. Feel pride in the process. Progress is living proof that you're leaving intention behind and entering execution. Consistency doesn't come from motivation. It comes from the satisfaction of seeing yesterday's effort become today's structure. 5. Coherence. Align what you think, feel, and do. Nothing drains more energy than living in contradiction. When your habit reflects your values, consistency stops being a burden and becomes peace. You don't need to force yourself when your actions match who you want to be. Coherence gives meaning to routine. And a meaningful routine is a quiet form of freedom. Epictetus said, "Nothing great is created suddenly." This explains the power of habit. It turns effort into nature, action into identity. Discipline, when matured, stops being a war against yourself and becomes a natural state of inner order. The Stoic practice of this lesson is simple. Reduce the size of the task, increase the frequency. Small actions, repeated with awareness, build unshakable results. It's not about wanting to, it's about becoming the person who acts even when they don't want to. And when that happens, you realize, discipline isn't a prison. It's pure self-control. It's freedom in advance. So write in the comments, "Today I choose to be consistent." because consistency is the silent secret behind every great achievement. It turns what seemed impossible into what is inevitable. Principle 6. Prepare to live what you want to conquer. Every desire has a price, and few are ready to pay it. The cost isn't just effort, it's preparation. Many want success, but aren't prepared to sustain it. Think of someone who wants financial prosperity, yet still carries the mindset of someone afraid of risk, or someone who desires deep love, but hasn't learned to communicate or manage their own impatience. They want the fruit, but haven't cultivated the soil. The universe doesn't deny you what you desire. It simply doesn't hand you what you're not ready to carry. Epictetus said, "Do not wish for things to happen as you desire. Wish for them to happen as they do, and you will be happy." This isn't resignation, it's maturity. Before asking for more, become more. Before chasing results, build structure. Want a simple example? Many dream of leadership, but can't tolerate disagreement. They want to launch a business, but seek approval before making decisions. They want freedom, but sabotage themselves with habits that keep them chained. You don't attract what you desire, you attract what you're prepared to manage. Want more recognition? Learn to carry the weight of criticism. Want more freedom? Be ready to live with the consequences of your choices. Want emotional stability? Train your mind not to react to every irritation. That's why so many succeed, then lose it. They lacked not luck, but internal structure. The achievement arrived, but their emotional state remained at the old level. It's like moving to a new house, but still sleeping on the floor. The environment changed, but the pattern didn't. Preparation is what turns desire into real capability. And this preparation isn't theoretical, it's daily, mental, practical. It's training yourself to stay calm under pressure, to honor hard decisions, to act even without guarantees. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Action must always be guided by reason, not emotion." And that is the core. Life will test everything you claim to want. It will send small trials, each one whispering, "Do you truly want this? Or do you only love the idea of it?" The Stoic practice of this lesson is clear. Live today as someone already worthy of what they desire. Don't wait for the perfect scenario to act. Act as someone who already belongs to that level. Preparation precedes the miracle. Repeat to yourself, "Today I become worthy of what I desire." Because nothing is more powerful than someone who understands. The future I want is being built through the choices I make today. Principle 7. How to achieve unbreakable perseverance. Imagine someone trying to light a fire on a windy day. They strike the match. The flame flickers. The wind blows it out. They try again. Another gust. They try once more, this time shielding the spark with their hands. Only when they learn to protect the fragile flame does it finally catch. The same happens with dreams. Perseverance isn't stubbornness, it's care. It's the art of protecting what is still fragile until it grows strong enough to survive on its own. What causes most people to quit isn't lack of ability, it's lack of patience. They want immediate results. When none appear, they mistake the construction phase for failure. But nothing that grows in truth blooms without first sinking roots deep underground. It's easy to plant a seed, harder to keep watering when the earth still looks empty. And it's precisely in those moments, when it seems like nothing is happening, that most people give up. But the truth is, while you work, time works with you. When both align, what once seemed distant begins to draw near. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle is the way." He wasn't speaking of enduring pain like a martyr, but of using every difficulty as training for the soul. Perseverance doesn't rise from success, it rises from friction. It's friction that polishes the diamond, resistance that strengthens the muscle, delay that ripens the fruit. The same happens within you, but there's a subtle trap that kills perseverance, haste disguised as urgency. You want to plant today and harvest tomorrow. Start a project and expect applause in a week. Train your mind and expect enlightenment immediately. But life doesn't respond to deadlines. It responds to depth. Time isn't an obstacle. It is the path. And when you embrace it, you stop fighting and start building. So remember, perseverance isn't about forcing your way through. It's about nurturing your fire until it no longer needs protection. It's about understanding that growth is invisible, but vital. And when you trust that, you stop quitting at the first sign of struggle. Because the real battle isn't out there. It's in your willingness to continue. So write in the comments, I persevere, not because I never fail, but because I never stop. Because true perseverance isn't perfection. It's persistence. And persistence is what turns effort into destiny.